Good morning, students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope everybody is having a superb week so far. Students, this is a bit of IELTS speaking, and we're going to focus on part 2, which is talking about a lucky time. This material is brought to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Visit us there. For the general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. These are our websites. They power these live lessons and they house all of our materials. For the academic IELTS, it's this blue background here. Click this big red button just there to my left. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. We're an IDP affiliate, we're a British Council partner, and an IELTS test registration center. It costs about 30 to 50 bucks US, and you only pay once. That's the good news, and then you're ready to learn for your test. The general IELTS is this green background. It's gieltshelp.com, and it's the same idea. Click the red button, fill out the form, and you're good to go. Welcome, Carolina, our chat moderator in blue. Welcome, Hoppanop, Renit. Nice to see many students joining in on the lesson. Students who are premium students, we will have 2 classes tomorrow, writing task 2 and speaking. It's another reason to join these websites, so you get 2 more classes each week. And you can use this code FUTURE10 for an extra 10% discount. If you have questions, send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com. To check out a speaking video, we've got lots of videos on the YouTube channel. Take a look at this one here. I'll drop it into the chat. And make sure to subscribe. We've got new videos coming out all the time, and there are lots and lots of videos there for you to help on our channel. We're one of the first ones to, actually we are the first ones to put a YouTube video up for the IELTS exam. So check us out there. All right, students, let's get into it. So this is speaking. Make sure to speak, copy, and repeat. Now, as you can probably hear from my voice, those of you who are regular students, I'm still on the mend from this laryngitis. So my voice is not perfect, but we will have a chance to interact. I do plan to use Zoom and ask some questions. Let's get into it. So you go to your exam early, about an hour early, and then speak with other candidates, get your English going. Don't wait to meet the examiner to start speaking English. Start speaking English at least 30 minutes before your interview. Then when you get to your interview, your examiner will meet you, and they will usually first ask, "May I see your identification, please?" When they ask you this, answer in a nice full sentence. So you should answer by saying something like, yes, gladly, here is my passport I had used to register. Please take a look. Okay. Nice full sentences right away, students. Show them that you practiced, you're there to mean business, and you are ready to go. So again, students, repeat after me. Yes, gladly. Here's my passport I'd used to register. Please take a look. Shahrani, yes you may is okay to start with that, but yes you may is like, you're kind of like, it's a little bit too formal in the sense that it's you that's giving permission to them to look at it. So I would use yes gladly or surely, something like that, or yes of course, or yes certainly. I wouldn't use yes you may in this situation as much. Yes you may means that you're in seniority, so you're above your listener. Okay, so I wouldn't use yes you may in this situation. Exactly, open up. It's like as if it was prohibited and they're asking for permission. Basically, you have to show your ID or they will ask you to leave the exam room. So that's why it's a little bit awkward, Shahrani, in this situation. If I ask you, like, may I use your pen? and you're like, yes, you may. Okay, but when an official is asking for your passport, it's a little bit weird. Yeah, exactly, up and up. It's like as if it's prohibited, or as if it belongs to you and you don't need to show it. It does belong to you, but you need to show it. Okay. All right, then they'll ask you a couple of general questions like, what is your full name? Where do you live? Do you have any hobbies? Answer this question for me, students. Do you have any hobbies? Now, try to paraphrase hobbies like free time activities, leisure time activities. Yeah, I know, Shakrani, it seems like it would make sense, and it's okay. It's not the end of the world if you say yes, you may, but it's just a little bit like, okay. So, do you have any hobbies? Again, just repeat after me. Yes, I have several leisure time activities. When I feel like resting, I read a book or watch a movie. And when I feel more active, I like to go out for long walks. Yesterday, I walked for 2 hours around my neighborhood. Okay. So, do you have any hobbies? Yes, I have several leisure time activities. When I feel like resting, I read a book or watch a movie. And when I feel more active, I like to go out for long walks. Yesterday, I strolled for 2 hours around my neighborhood. Okay, Jeffrey's got a good answer here. Jeffrey in the chat says, Jeffrey, make sure you capitalize those I's. I usually spend my free time to improve my foreign language skills, such as English and Spanish, by listening to podcasts and YouTube videos. And by reading through articles and journals. Watch your plurals, Jeffrey. All right. So then the examiner might ask you to talk about some general topic for part one, like let's talk about habits. Okay. And then they'll ask these questions. Now, for part one, make sure that you give an answer, use the question, plus explain, plus give an example. Okay. So when you use the question, pay attention to the subject. Like, what are some negative habits? Okay. What's another way to say negative habits, everybody? You're very welcome, Jeffrey. What's another way to say negative habit? Maybe it's a bad behavior. Detrimental hobbies is a little bit weird, Shakrani. Tsegareta, bad habits is okay. Negative habit, bad habit, sure. Bad behavior. Habits are behaviors, right? Bad practices is okay. Hopping up says about bad practices. Yep, that's good. Sometimes we refer to it kind of as addictions, right? So several negative behaviors include drinking and smoking, nail biting, and eating too much junk food. These are bad both for physical and mental health. And then you can give an example, right? Like 50% of lung cancer cases are attributed to tobacco smoke. Okay. So nice full sentences, students. Even if you know that the examiner knows that it's bad for health, you should still explain that. Okay, so again, repeat after me. What are some negative habits? Yeah, Dakshia, antisocial behavior is a good one too. Okay. Yeah, Jeffrey, procrastination is a good answer. So again, just repeat after me, students. Several negative behaviors include drinking and smoking, nail biting, and eating too much junk food. These are bad both for physical and mental health. %50 of lung cancer cases are attributed to tobacco smoke. Yeah, Diksha, bullying could be attributed to a bad habit or behavior as well. Absolutely. Habits are just behaviors that people do again and again, for sure. Okay, very nice. Okay, students, and then they'll ask you about 4 or 5 more questions on this topic here about bad habits. And then they'll switch to part 2. So the examiner will say that is the end of part 1. We will now continue with part 2. For this part, I will show you some questions. You will have 1 minute to read these questions. You can take notes in this 1 minute time if you wish. And then you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. Is that clear? And then you can say yes. And they'll say, think of a time when you were lucky. Okay, students, so in part 2, in the 60 seconds, when they give you this cue card and they ask you to think of a time you were lucky, then you have to identify that this is an event. So when you're looking at an event, what do you need to include? So this is an event. When you talk about an event, you should talk about the time, the location. Yeah, absolutely, Rasham, very good. What else? So you've got the time, the location. So it happened last year. It was downtown. Okay, before you talk about, yeah, very good, Rasham, the attendees. So the people who were there, my friends were there, my parents were there, strangers were there, okay. The attendees, the activities, and your experience. Okay, so that's what you need to include. And of course, you have to pay attention to the questions. Okay. So think of a time when you were lucky. Where did this happen? Hey, that's the location. When was it? That's the time. Who were you with? That's the people. Why were you lucky and how did you feel about it? That's these parts here. So you will see that the questions kind of follow this pattern usually as well. Time, location, attendees, activities, experience. Students, what are some times? So here, think about, what are some times that are lucky? Okay, so what are some lucky times? Give me a list, students. Give me a list. Yeah, winning a scholarship, sure. Yeah, scholarship offer for sure. Acing an exam. Yeah, that could be lucky, especially if you're guessing. Getting married is not really lucky because that's something that you plan and you work towards. Meeting a special person could be lucky. Getting married, though, Risham, would not be really considered lucky. That's kind of a strange one. Cheap ticket, yeah. Like a plane ticket. Yeah, it could be any other item too. Like you find a really great deal on a car, right? So as soon as Shakrani, you think of like a cheap ticket, then you can be like, oh, wait a second, not just a cheap ticket, but if I find like a super good deal on a car or winning money, yeah. Like the lottery, sure. Okay. So any of those could be like acing an exam. So if we look at this, like think of a time when you were lucky, you might say, I was very lucky with my math exam in first year university. To be more specific, it was the year end exam, which accounted for 50% of the grade. This exam took place 10 years ago when I was still a student at the University of Victoria. Okay. And then you can get into the people. I had a very difficult professor, and the exam was really challenging. I took the test with about 150 peers at the end of June, right? So notice how I'm paying attention to that time, location, people, professor, the students, right? And then you talk about the activities, right? It was a 3-hour exam and included 50 skill testing questions, which covered the 10 different units we learned in the semester. Okay, so you're talking about the activities, right? And then you can start talking about the experience. I felt super nervous because I hadn't really prepared enough for the test. I was both procrastinating and I was quite busy with my part-time job and other subjects. Okay, so your experience. All right. Music vibe, if you really don't understand a question. Music vibe is asking, what should we do if we don't understand a question? That should never happen in part 2. Part 2, you should definitely read until you understand the question. But if you don't understand a part 1 or a part 3 question, you can always say, sorry, I'm not exactly sure about that question. Can we just go to the next one? And it's okay. It's better than to just answer completely off topic. Okay. All right, students. So in this part 2, again, we're talking about a lucky time. And just repeat after me. I was very lucky with my math exam in first year university. To be more specific, it was the year-end exam, which accounted for 50% of the grade. One more time, students. I was very lucky with my math exam in first year university. To be more specific, it was the year-end exam, which accounted for 50% of the grade. This exam took place 10 years ago when I was still a student at the University of Victoria. Again, we're doing just repetition here, everybody. Try to match my speed and my pronunciation. This exam took place 10 years ago when I was still a student at the University of Victoria. I had a very difficult professor, and the exam was really challenging. I took the test with about 150 peers at the end of June. It was a 3-hour exam and included 50 skill testing questions, which covered the 10 different units we learned in the semester. It was a 3-hour exam and included 50 skill testing questions, which covered the 10 different units we learned in the semester. I felt super nervous because I hadn't really prepared enough for the test. I was both procrastinating and I was quite busy with my part-time job and other subjects. Nevertheless, even though I thought I would do poorly, I was shocked when I saw my results. I had aced the test. I got 95%. Okay, so make sure you go back. I'm quite sure that I didn't really know some of the material, but it was multiple choice. So I just guessed. I must have been very lucky to get so many answers correct. Okay. So remember, it's a lucky time. This was really fortunate because I needed a good grade for my second year enrollment. Okay. So again, just going back to that lucky time. Nevertheless, even though I thought I would do poorly, I was shocked when I saw my results. I had aced the test. I got 95%. Okay, make sure you're repeating, students. I must have been very lucky to get so many answers correct. This was really fortunate because I needed to get a good grade for my second year enrollment. Okay, if I had failed the exam, I would have needed to repeat this prerequisite before enrolling into second year statistics class. Okay. So this was really fortunate because I needed a good grade for my second year enrollment. If I had failed the exam, I would have needed to repeat this prerequisite before enrolling into second year statistics class. All right, students, so this is about the minimum that you should be thinking. So if you said this perfectly, this would be about a band 8 to 9. Okay. Now, I know some of you are here and you're preparing your answer, so please prepare your part 2 response to this question. Again, the question that we're looking at is think of a time when you were very lucky. Where did this happen? When was it? Who were you with? Why were you lucky? And how did you feel about it? You will have a chance to answer this question. Okay. So please prepare your answer while I start up Zoom. Okay, so in these classes, everybody, we use Zoom to let students practice a response. This is the Zoom link here. All right. And I'll just start up Zoom for you. Now, for those of you who are premium students, you do have a chance for Zoom classes each week. Okay, let me just start this class and get my, or this Zoom session and get my headphones on. In just a second. Give you an extra second here to get ready for your part 2. While I untangle the headphones, here we go. Okay, thanks, Ibrahim. All right, here we go, everybody. Okay. So we've got Shahrain in here. That's nice. I can't use my video, students, but you can. Okay, we'll get Minnie in here as well. Students, I'll drop that link one more time. Students, one more time. Okay, now if somebody would like to volunteer when you're joining, I'm guessing everybody who's joining would like to volunteer, but you can use this react button and then raise your hand And your hand goes up. And then you can lower your hand. Okay. Chakrain, sure, join in. Unmute yourself.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
I can, very loud and clear. How are you?
I'm good, sir. Thank you. How about you?
My voice is recovering from a bit of a cold, but I'm good.
Laryngitis.
Yeah, that's
Mm.
right. You remembered from last class. Yes,
Yes,
exactly.
yes, I do remember, sir.
Yeah. All right, Chakrain, did you prepare your answer for this part two?
Yes, sir. I did prepare a little bit about it. So let's see.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, I'll start you off and then I'll record what you're saying and give you some feedback after. Here we go. Think of a time when you were lucky. Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
A time when I felt really lucky was last year. It was in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Actually, it was about buying a wrecked Mercedes-Benz. The owner of the car was very rich. As soon as he crashed it, he was willing to just let it go. So I bought that car at a very low price. Actually, the car was worth more than 60,000 US dollar, but I bought it at 12,000 US dollar, and I tried to fix it. I ordered the parts that needed to be fixed. I ordered it from China, from Australia, and I spent around 9,000 US dollar on it, and I totally fixed it back like brand new. And luckily I got a customer for this, and I sold it for 49,000 US dollar. And of course, the owner that I bought it from was also a Malaysian, and I sold it to a Malaysian. So it was like last year around June 2024. And I felt very lucky because it was my first time. Of course, I felt very nervous. I was wondering if I can sell it back or no, because I spent a lot of my money. But I was very lucky to find a customer and sell it and make a very good profit out of it.
Okay, your time is up. I'll stop you there and we will go on to part three.
Sure.
All right, Chuck, that was really, really good. I like that. I think for a band score, you would probably get about a band 8 for that. You're very fluent. Your pronunciation is clear. So at least a 7.5, probably a band 8. The only reason it's not a 9 is because there are some places where you're using a little bit incorrect vocabulary, and it's just a little bit incorrect, but it's incorrect enough that it couldn't be a band 9. So I'll give you an example. You said, I totally fixed it. It's not totally, like, I get what you mean by totally fixed, but that's not actually the accurate word
Maybe
for
repaired.
repair is okay, but when you take something that's broken and you make it new again, we say you restored it. Restore. If you watch Netflix in English, you'll see there are those shows that are like car restorations. Okay, that's literally their title. They'll say car restorations. And then you said, I sold it back. If you're selling it back, it kind of means that you're selling it back to the original owner, like the guy that crashed it. So it's not sold it back. What do you think is the correct verb there?
I sold it maybe I just sold it. I resold it.
Exactly. Yes, that's the better word. Yeah, you got it. See, that's why it's good to review, because then you're like, oh, okay, yes, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I resold the car. So there were just a couple of these throughout the speaking where it was like almost accurate, but not quite. And if you and I were talking like casually every day, or even in an office, I would just be like, whatever, right? It wouldn't matter. So it's very good speech. It's very good speaking.
Thank you so much.
But if we're in like, if we're in a very technical meeting or you're doing a presentation, then I would catch those as your audience, and I'd be like, it's a little bit off. And that's why it wouldn't be a 9, because a 9 is expected to be perfect in those situations, like in a presentation or in a meeting style kind of session, right? So
Yeah, I think band 8 is also good, sir. Let's say last year,
Band 8 is very good. Band 7 is
not
good. Band 8 is very good. That's
not
literally what they
not
say.
it was in 2019, sir. I actually recorded my voice and sent it to you via email, I think. And you said that you would get a band 7. And I took the IELTS exam and I got band 7 in speaking. It was very like, I hope this time I get band 8, sir. I will try.
Good. Yeah, no, it was. It was a band. That was a very good answer.
Thank
Make sure that when you're practicing, record yourself and then really pay attention and try to catch these little mistakes, right? Because see, you know the correct answer when you think about it. You're like, oh yeah. And now if you don't catch it, then after you answer, after you record, then put the recording into ChatGPT and say, please correct my vocabulary. Don't do anything else. Don't say, like change it to a perfect speech or something, but just say, please correct my vocabulary. And then it will show you exactly what I'm just showing you, which is like where some of the vocabulary is a little bit off, and it'll say you should use this, this, and this, right? But do it yourself first. Try to catch it yourself first, okay? All right, Chakrain, that was really good. Well, I hope you get a band 8. Did that really happen? Did you really make a bit of money on that car?
No, it was like a made up. I just made it up.
Wow, you did a really good job making that up. That was
Yes.
awesome. I was like, great, you made like $30,000. That's awesome. Actually, 19,000, I think. But anyway, that would be awesome. Okay, Chakrain, thank you so much for that. That was great.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you also.
All right, everybody, give Chakrain a big thumbs up. That was pretty cool. That was really good. Ghazi, thank you for that super chat donation. I appreciate you as always. Okay. All right. Just get everybody in here. Minnie, why don't you unmute yourself? We'll have a little chat.
Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm on the mend, as you can hear. My voice is still
Yes,
struggling
I
a
hope
bit.
you are doing well.
Thank you. I feel okay. It's just my voice. Okay, Minnie, did you have a chance to prepare an answer?
Yes.
Okay, then let's do it. Let's jump right in. Think of a time when you were lucky. Your 1-minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
I felt very lucky when I gave interview last month as a yoga instructor. The studio is located just 2 kilometers away from my apartment. Moreover, I had a dream to get selected in this particular yoga studio because it is fully equipped and spacious. My interview took place online in Zoom platform, and it took around 2 hours. I was so nervous during interview, but after that, I felt confident that I might be selected for that interview. There were 2 interviews. They asked few questions about my experience and skills. They told me that we had 2 or 3 more candidates for this job, so we'll let you know soon. I felt so nervous after that hearing, and however, it went well. On the next day, to be more specific, March 1st, I received the mail around 6 a.m. and it was positive. I was on the cloud nine that I selected for this job.
Okay, your 2 minutes is up. I will stop you there and I'll give you some feedback. It was a little bit short, I think it was closer to just a minute there. Yeah, I'm looking at the clock. It was maybe about 70 seconds. So you want to be a little bit more detailed, Minnie. So think about ideas like why this yoga studio? So you said you really wanted a job at this yoga studio. You said a little bit about why at this yoga studio, but maybe a little bit more detail about, what were the next steps? What was kind of lucky about it going forward? Maybe was it a chance to earn more money as well? Like, was it a well-paying job? Did it give you a chance to get more recognition as a yoga instructor globally, maybe? Like it's a very reputable yoga studio. So think about it, maybe a little bit more detail there. Because somebody as fluent as you should be speaking for at least 90 seconds, okay?
Okay, sir.
All right. Your band score is about a 7.5 here, so it's somewhere between good, almost very good. Again, little mistakes. So everybody, when you're above the band 7, so when you get to band 7 and you're going higher than band 7, like 7.5, 8.5, it's just little mistakes, and yet you have to fix those little mistakes. What happens, Minnie, in your speech is sometimes you miss words, especially prepositions and pronouns. So my tip here for you, Minnie, is pay attention to missing prepositions and pronouns. Okay.
Yes, sir.
You said, I was so nervous during interview, during this interview. Okay, so you missed the word this. I was so nervous during this interview. In the beginning, I'm going to jump back there. You said, I felt very lucky when I gave an interview last month. You said interview, when I gave an interview. It's one interview. Okay. So you just had these little missing articles, prepositions, pronouns, those little pieces. And the good news is people can understand even without it. But the bad news is that for those high marks, you need to be able to capture those little prepositions and pronouns, okay?
Yes, sir.
So again, thankfully to new technology, this could be really helpful. So when you record yourself, the same tip as before, but instead of asking ChatGPT, for example, to correct your vocabulary, just ask it to identify where you are missing prepositions and pronouns. Do it yourself first. Try to catch as many as possible, and then ask the computer to help you. And I'm sure it will tell you that, there are 4 or 5 places where they're missing. Okay.
Yes, sir. And I want to mention that the last response which I gave it was 5.5, and you told me that you have to do work on the specific point, and I worked on it, and it's really helpful for me, like the chat GPT, and do write the sentences which really help me. So I really thankful for that.
You are super welcome. Yeah, this answer compared to your last one was way more coherent. You definitely took a lot more time. And I said that to you. I said, if you take more time and you pay attention to those, you'll get a much higher score. And you did. 7.5 is way higher than a 5.5. So good for you. I'm happy that helped. And you were much more controlled. This was much better, for sure. Much better. Okay, so thank you so much, Minnie.
Thank you, sir. Get well soon.
Thank you. Okay, and on that note, everybody, I'm just going to have those 2 students just because I can feel my voice, and I apologize for that. I know these classes usually go 15 minutes later, but if I keep stressing my voice, I won't have a voice at all for the premium class tomorrow. So what I encourage everybody to do is practice these questions. You can send it to us by email for free marking. So if you send your recorded response for part 2 to this email address or this one, one of my colleagues will grade it. They're awesome at this, and then they'll let you know what you got. If you'd like to join premium classes throughout the week as well, Thursdays and Fridays, then visit aehelp.com or gieltshelp.com and sign up for the premium version of our course. All you have to do is click that big red button. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. I'm inferring that next week my voice will be back, so we'll have the full 1-hour class. Ghazi, I appreciate your super chat donation. I really wanted to give you a chance to speak as well, but it's just I'm not going to be able to speak for the day if I keep pushing myself, so I got to know when to call it quits. That's going to be the last phrase that I'll teach you today. I have to know when to call it quits. And that's right now. So I do plan to do the premium class tomorrow for task 2. My voice is getting better day by day, but if something happens, I'll let students know that it's canceled. So But be ready for not speaking, but task 2. Okay, writing. All right. Okay, students, enjoy the rest of your day. And premium students, I will see you tomorrow. Everybody else, next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm sure I'll be back to my 100% self. So join the class next week, Tuesday. I'll release the schedule and the class topics probably tomorrow sometime. So that's it for me for now. Thank you, Carolina, for moderating the chat. And talk to you all very, very soon. Much love from Victoria, Canada. Bye, everybody.